Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is John Lee, and I'm the council member for the 12th District in the City of Los Angeles. And as one of two Asian American council members in the City of Los Angeles, it is my great honor to welcome you to the opening ceremony for the City of Los Angeles' celebration of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Our theme this year is AAPI Included, a message we chose to highlight the importance of AAPI voices and to ensure that they are heard, considered, and included in all different types of conversations. Now I'd like to introduce today's co-MC, Commissioner Dora Kwok from the Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department.
Thank you, Councilmember Lee. It is my honor to join this opening ceremony as one of today's MCs. Today, we kick off a month-long celebration of the history, culture, and achievements of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander communities that have played an integral role in shaping our city and nation. Over the past 2 years, the pandemic has made life difficult and challenged everyone in unpredictable ways, the AAPI community included. Still, I have witnessed incredible strength and unity from various groups and communities throughout the city, something that gives me hope that our voices will be heard and represented. Before the program gets underway, I'd like to introduce Justin Park, who will be performing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow, thanks, Justin. We have a great program in store for you today, including special performances just like you heard, and guests followed by the presentation of the 2022 RISE Awards, awards that recognize inspiring individuals who elevate and empower. This year, we are pleased to recognize journalist Michelle Lee, Professor Kent Wong, who is the UCLA Labor Center's director and founder of Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, actor Justin Chan, the nonprofit organization CAPE, and its executive director, Michelle Sugihara, and local AAPI business owners.
Before we get started with the awards, we also have a few special guests who have joined us to offer their remarks. First, I'd like to welcome Mayor Eric Garcetti. Thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Kwok. Thank you to you and to Councilmember Lee. Such an honor to be with you and Councilmember Rahman and the entire group. Congratulations to our RISE Award winners. And I'm so excited that we are celebrating not just a month, but really years, decades, and centuries of the contributions of people of Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Native Hawaiian descent here in Los Angeles. We know Los Angeles was built by the brilliance of this community, that this is a community which we know not only runs Los Angeles, but also belongs in Los Angeles. A city of belonging has been what I've tried to build as mayor for the last 9 years. And certainly as somebody who grew up in this city, I know that it reflects the face of the world, certainly of the Pacific Rim, of South Asia and Central Asia and West Asia. We know that people come from many different places. Their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and others have come from many places, but we all call Los Angeles home. And certainly over the last couple of years, we've seen just how important that is. Sometimes in our most hopeful moments, and sometimes in some of our most difficult moments. Those difficult moments in protecting AA and PI communities from the racism that we've seen, the hate crimes and incidents that we have taken into a campaign that is LA for everyone. LA is for everyone, led by our Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department. and also the work that we do to proactively empower and engage, whether it's small business owners to be able to get through the pandemic and to survive and thrive and grow, or whether it's cultural institutions that are now welcoming people back. This is a great month to not just mark history, but to do your part in making history as well. We also know that a lot of us who came together just last week to commemorate AAPI LA Day, that as we see the festivities this month, it's a great opportunity for us to explore another neighborhood, to go to a culture that we might not be as familiar with and educate ourselves about the contributions of people from that cultural heritage to our city, to see the amazing new gateway to historic Filipino town, for instance, or maybe to go and check out what's happening with our Cambodian or Mongolian communities. We have such a diverse set of communities that make Los Angeles what it is. But again, I know that each one of us shares the same singular values of belonging, of freedom, and of opportunity. So again, congratulations to everybody who is here today. Please go out there and see a city which are working to make more safe, more just, more livable every single day. And know that Los Angeles is one of the great Asian American and Pacific Islander cities anywhere in this nation. Thanks, and back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague and the first South Asian woman ever elected to the Los Angeles City Council, Councilmember Nithya Raman, to offer her remarks.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, John, and everyone here gathered here to honor this month. I'm Councilmember Nithya Raman, representing the 4th Council District here in the city of Los Angeles. Yes, as Councilmember Lee mentioned, I have the distinct honor of serving as the first Asian American woman ever elected to the LA City Council and the first South Asian ever to serve on this body. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of politicians that looked like me, and I never thought of myself as really becoming a politician. And so for me, being able to break these barriers in this city, a city I love so much, the city I call home, this really for me is an overwhelming honor, and it is a position that I don't take lightly. That's why I am so particularly honored to join you all today, albeit virtually, because serving in this role for these past year plus, I now know more than ever that our voices are necessary, that AAPI voices are necessary. We must be here, we must stand up, we must represent our community. And I'm so delighted to be celebrating this month with all of you. When I look around at all these faces on Zoom, today I see an incredible group of people gathered here to reject marginalization. A group of people really standing up to say emphatically, we are here, we are equal, we will take our seat at the table in this city. We are also here today at a unique time, at a time when Asian voices appear to be everywhere in our arts and culture, something I see so much, particularly in Hollywood, right here in Los Angeles. Yet we're seeing this at a time when incidents of open racism and violence against the AAPI community have never been so high. And so for me, this month, noting this month, sharing this month together is more than just symbolic. It's a commitment to honor our history, but also to make a commitment together in this city that we will be better than our past and that we will be better than our present. The AAPI community is an essential and vibrant part of the fabric that makes up our city. And as we celebrate the rest of this month, I think for me and for all of us gathered here today, we are really committing to uplifting and amplifying the voices of this historically marginalized community and ensuring that we are increasing access to outreach and resources. So I'm really grateful to all of you for showing up with joy, with love in our hearts as we celebrate the accomplishments and achievements so far and look forward to creating the community ahead. Thank you all.
Next, I'm pleased to welcome City Controller Ron Galperin.
Good afternoon, and how wonderful it is to be joining you as we celebrate AAPI heritage, as we celebrate also the future for our AAPI community, which is a bright one. I want to thank Councilmember John Lee and Commissioner Kwok for bringing us together to celebrate and to really look at all of the great contributions of our AAPI sisters and brothers in Los Angeles and throughout our nation. And I also want to congratulate Councilmember Lee and the Mayor's Office for the launch of the AAPI LA broadcast. and I'm really looking forward to and exciting to be tuning in. This is a great opportunity for us to celebrate, to recognize how intertwined LA's social and economic and political and cultural fabric is with our AAPI community. And we are, of course, home to 5 Asian and Pacific Islander neighborhoods, Chinatown and Little Tokyo, historic Filipino town, Koreatown, and Thai town. And at the city, 14% of our workforce, I'm very proud to say, is AAPI. And in the controller's office, it is 60%. And we have just an incredible community within our own controller's office. But, you know, as we celebrate many of the accomplishments and contributions, we also have to look at how far we still need to go as a society. Unfortunately, anti-Asian hate has been on the rise, along with racism and homophobia and Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and xenophobia. But we've seen, particularly against our AAPI community, how that hate has been manifest. And it's a plague for our city and for our country. So we have to unite to condemn this, because there is no room for it in Los Angeles or in anywhere in our nation. And I want to just thank you so much, everybody who is tuning in and everybody who's participated in this, for kicking off this really important month as we stand in strength and in solidarity each and every single day. So thanks so much.
Finally, I get to welcome my friend and president of the Los Angeles City Council, President Nury Martinez.
Hi, I'm Nury Martinez, the president of the Los Angeles City Council. As Angelinos, we are so lucky to live in a city as culturally diverse as ours, where locals and tourists can benefit from visiting our city's culturally and ethnically diverse neighborhoods. From Koreatown and Chinatown to historic Filipino town and Little Tokyo, our city's thriving Asian American and Pacific Islander communities bring us cuisine, art, and music from all over the world. And while this is a time to celebrate and uplift our AAPI community members, we also have to recognize that over the past few years, our country has seen a sharp increase in anti-AAPI hate speech and hate crimes. So in addition to supporting AAPI small businesses across our city this month, we also need to listen, learn, and have important conversations so we can become better, more informed allies to our neighbors. It takes all of us speaking out to stop needless violence and discrimination. And I am so proud that Los Angeles has and will always stand with our AAPI community. I hope you have a happy Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and a great AAPI LA Day, because our city wouldn't be the same without the invaluable contributions of your community. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our city leaders for joining us to highlight the start of the city's celebration of AAPI Heritage Month. Commissioner Kwok, what does AAPI Heritage Month mean to you? Can you share a little bit more about your background as a member of this community?
That's a great question. Thank you, Councilmember. I think for API Heritage Month, you know, I really identify as a Chinese American and Vietnamese American and the daughter of refugees. So for this entire month, we really do, in my family, we do try to make it a celebration of all things that we have here in the city, whether it's visiting the Chinese American Museum at El Pueblo or the Pacific Islander Museum down in Long Beach. There's so many different ways to celebrate our heritage, our history, our culture, our cuisine, as our council president reminded us. What about you, council member? How do you celebrate?
Well, the AAPI community is obviously very personal to me, and as one of the few elected officials to ever sit on the LA City Council, you know, of Korean descent, I feel the weight of not only representing my district, but Koreans all throughout the city. But the entire, you know, I honestly feel a responsibility to the entire AAPI community. We have neighborhoods throughout the city named after the various communities that make our city, you know, obviously more vibrant and unique. And so I've always seen this month as a time to celebrate all of our various cultures and accomplishments and find new ways to, you know, share the many different feats and accomplishments that our community has made to making this city the great city that it is.
I couldn't agree more, council member. Thank you for sharing that. Now we have a very special performance by the Thai Performing Arts of Los Angeles, who will perform the dance of benediction, bestowing blessings and wishing good luck. This has been a part of the Thai way of life since ancient times. Out of this tradition emerged the dance known as benediction. To celebrate guests who are visiting the country, the dance of benediction is performed and signifies the wishing of peace and happiness to the visitors. It is also believed that the performance of the dance involves long-lasting good luck. Please take a look.
Wow, what an incredible performance. That was truly impressive. I think we're all supposed to feel a little bit luckier. I don't know about you, Commissioner. I feel a little bit luckier after watching that. And thank you again to the Thai Performing Arts of Los Angeles. Now, I'd like to welcome another longtime friend of mine, Capri Maddox, the Executive Director of the LA Civil Rights and Equity Department.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lee. It's really a pleasure to be here with you and other leaders from our city, including Councilmember Rahman and Mayor Garcetti, as well as the incredible leaders that are here from the community and our very own Commissioner Dora Kwok to celebrate AAPI Heritage Month. As you said, my name is Capri Maddox. I am the founding director, executive director of the LA Civil Rights Department. We are proud to join you in celebrating LA's Asian American Pacific Islanders heritage. As a new department, we could not do what we do as it relates to protecting the civil rights in Los Angeles without the help of so many AAPI community organizations, whether it's the Korean American Federation, Thai CDC, AAPI Equity Alliance, or so many others. The work and the support of the AAPI community organizers and leaders have made our work possible. We are honored to lift this work. And again, I wanted to say special thanks to Commissioner Dora Kwok that helps us in a significant way as she sits as a commissioner with us in our department. Just last year, LA Civil Rights, along with Council Members Lee, Rahman, and Mayor Garcetti, launched the LA for All campaign. We saw how hate has been rising against the AAPI community, the Jewish community, and the LGBT community, African Americans, and so many others. We knew that we needed to do more. So we came here together to create the largest anti-hate PSA campaign in city government history. We're active on over 4,200 ad spaces and featured in 18 languages. Hold on for a second. The colorful posters which say LA is for everyone include messages of inclusion and resources for reporting hate. And it all started right here during AAPI Heritage Month. I definitely want to be sure to congratulate the Rise Award winners for your leadership and recognition. today. One of the ways that we can overcome hate is through pride and solidarity. By owning our own truth and by telling our story, we find common bonds and build stronger connections. Just a minute, sorry, someone came to the door. We make Los Angeles safer and more inclusive when we celebrate our diversity as our greatest strength. And the most important thing that I really wanted to share is I want you to keep telling your story, take up more space, and demand your seat at the table, because you are essential to who we are as Angelenos and Americans. And with that, I'd like to sign up and say, keep the faith and keep the fight. And obviously, we have a lot of support here in my very own household to support our AAPI community during this month and beyond. Thank you.
You know, Capri, dogs and kids screaming and doorbells ringing, it's all become part of, our life on Zoom. So I'm glad to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you again, Capri. And thank you for your dogs too, for reminding us all that LA really is for everyone. Now, before we get to our next performer, I'd like to welcome LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell to share with us her thoughts on the importance of the AAPI community and our Heritage Month.
I'm Holly Mitchell, Chair of the LA County Board of Supervisors, proudly representing the 2nd District. And on behalf of the County of Los Angeles, we are honored to join the City of LA in celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. LA County is home to over 1.5 million AAPI residents. From Koreatown to Carson to Gardena, I'm proud to represent diverse AAPI communities in the 2nd District. And as we celebrate and recognize the multifaceted history, culture, and achievements of the AAPI community, we must also recognize and reaffirm our commitment to stand up against hate and bias that only serves to divide our communities. We here at the county, we've stepped up, declaring racism a public health issue, taking incidents of hate through the 211 system, and most recently, sharing our support of the Stop AAPI Hate, No Place for Hate legislative package before our state legislature. So please join me as we celebrate and experience the rich history and culture of our fellow Angelenos. Let's come together and become a more thriving county of LA. Happy AAPI Heritage Month.
Thank you, Supervisor Mitchell. And now I'm very excited to introduce our 2022 RISE Awards. The honorees today have all played an important role in uplifting the AAPI community and pushed us forward in a variety of different ways, whether it's through the medium of news, film, television, community education, organizing, entrepreneurship. These individuals have pushed the needle for greater inclusion, acceptance, and understanding of our community. And it's so important to recognize the work of these individuals and to celebrate their push for greater representation of all of our voices in these communities. And I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Kwok.
Thank you. For our first award presentation today, I am honored to present the 2022 RISE Award for Journalism to none other than the incredible Michelle Lee. She is an award-winning Asian American news anchor who in January of this year went viral after sharing a racist voicemail she received, which launched her into a series of conversations about racism AAPIs continue to experience. Her bravery in sharing her story landed her on The Ellen Show and led her to start up the Very Asian Foundation. When she first listened to the voicemail on New Year's Day, she said she was disheartened and astounded at how rude the message was and how the racism could be so loud and so subtle at the same time. The caller criticized Lee for being very Asian and said she should keep her Korean to herself. Let's take a look at Michelle's reporting on this.
It is time to let go of old thinking and celebrate who we really are.
And Michelle, our management has released this statement, which reads in part, KSDK fully supports our excellent award-winning anchor and reporter, Michelle Lee. At KSDK, we embrace diversity in the people we hire, the stories we tell, and our local community. We will continue supporting Michelle and celebrating diversity and inclusion.
And Michelle, I just want to commend you, first of all, for your bravery and your humility and your grace. It could not have been easy to talk about all of that on the air in front of so many people. And I actually overheard you in the newsroom today. You called that number back, that woman back. You don't know her name. And I heard you leave a voicemail saying, no shaming. I just really want to talk to you. And so maybe she's watching right now. What would you want her to know?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. And I was trying to think of an answer for it, but I think I would want to know if she's okay. I would want to know what happened to her that made her feel like those words were okay. And I would listen to her. I would want to speak with her face to face and ask her what she's got against dumplings. I mean,
Wow, Michelle, what an important story to share. Thank you for standing up to and standing up for the AAPI community. It is our honor to present you with the 2022 Rise Award for Journalism.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I am so honored and humbled. There was a whole, commentary that we did in response to that. That really just talked about the idea that we can eat noodles for longevity and still be very American as well as very Asian. And I felt very compelled to share that. But I am so honored to just be seen as an Asian American journalist, but then to go one step further, a Korean immigrant, a child of foster care, and also an adoptee. So, being very Asian to me is really about being able to exist in the world as you exist, to bring your full humanity to the table. When that all happened, we had so many wonderful responses from people who wanted to share their stories of family or food and celebration. But then we also had this incredible, overwhelming response from people who are adoptees or those who are of mixed race or many in the LGBTQ+ communities. We had responses from all over the world. We sold 3,000 shirts in 7 days to raise money for the Asian American Journalists Association, which is having their national convention in Los Angeles this summer. But we sold shirts in Australia, Hong Kong, Korea, Germany, Canada, from the Bronx to Los Angeles. So many people felt seen and showed us that there are still so many stories that need to be told and need to be normalized. And it really does come at a time when suicide is the #1 cause of death in Asian American teens. So we need to see ourselves now more than ever. And I'm grateful to Ellen DeGeneres. She put me on her show and gifted me $15,000 that helped us start the Very Asian Foundation. And we are really committed to shining a light on Asian experiences through advocacy and celebration. We're also launching a pretty big national book campaign this weekend called the May Book Project that I hope you check out because there are schools in Los Angeles also participating. So we just want to say thank you so much. This has truly been a journey, and we hope that we can still ride the wave and make some impact, and hope that you celebrate being very Asian every single day.
Thank you again, Michelle, for joining us today. Now we'd like to welcome one of our last year's Rise honorees, California Attorney General Rob Bonta, to offer some brief remarks.
Hello, Los Angeles. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General, here to wish you a happy Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Thank you, Councilmember Lee, Councilmember Rahman, and everyone at the City of Los Angeles who put this program together. I was so honored to receive the Rise Award last year, and it's a privilege to be able to celebrate with you again. This is a month of celebration, but it is also a time to recognize where we've been, whether it was tough labor conditions for Asian American railroad workers or the pandemic of hate that emerged in 2020. Our AAPI community has faced hardship, but we have always shown immeasurable strength. We've made California stronger. Indeed, from our culture to our contributions, our history to our heritage, API Americans have left an indelible mark on this great state and our nation. At the California Department of Justice, we celebrate this history, we celebrate this heritage, and we proudly stand with AAPI communities in Los Angeles and across the state as we fight the rise of hate, advance public safety, and defend your rights. From our new Racial Justice Bureau to our public safety efforts within the Division of Law Enforcement. At the California DOJ, We honor AAPI heritage and history as we create a safer and healthier California for all of us. Happy AAPI Heritage Month, Los Angeles.
Thank you so much, Attorney General Bonta. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our next honoree, UCLA Professor Kent Wong. Professor Wong is the director of the UCLA Labor Center and teaches labor studies and Asian American studies. Professor Wong regularly addresses labor, community, and civil rights issues and is a staple at university and student conferences throughout the country. He has also served as the founding president of the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, the first national organization of Asian union members and its workers. Here's a video created by his organization discussing why AAPI labor organizing is so very important.
We have now a very dangerous political environment where all three federal branches of government are dominated by right-wing Republican forces who are diametrically opposed to the labor movement and diametrically opposed to social justice.
When people who look like us are in power, we naturally organize around our issues because those are the lives that we live every day. And I believe that when there's more people like us, like API people, API workers are in power, we will win a lot more for our communities.
To join forces with the broader community, whether it's immigrant rights organizations or environmental justice organizations. We just have to join forces with them because in the end it's going to be working families and people of color that are going to get impacted the most.
It is my honor to introduce this year's recipient for the 2022 Rise Award in Labor, Professor Kent Wong. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, Commissioner Kwok and Councilmember John Lee. It's great to be with you. I was born and raised here in Los Angeles, and this honor means a lot to me, but also to the people who I work with. I also wanted to give a big shout out to the Los Angeles City Council, who supported the appropriation to establish a permanent home for the UCLA Labor Center and to name it in honor of Reverend James Lawson Jr. So the building you see behind me is now known as the UCLA James Lawson Jr. Worker Justice Center. This month, not only are we celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we're also celebrating the 30th anniversary of the founding of the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, the first national organization of Asian Pacific American workers. And we are having celebrations all across the country, from New York, DC, Seattle, Chicago, San Francisco, San Diego, and right here in Los Angeles. And I also have a new book, Asian American Workers Rising, that captures the voices of an extraordinary multi-generational, multi-ethnic group of leaders who for the past 30 years have built the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance. And the work of APALA is needed now more than ever to defend the rights of essential workers, many AAPI workers on the front lines who face poverty wages and unsafe conditions due to corporate greed, to advance immigration reform, and to fight for the rights of immigrant workers and immigrant youth, as well as to counter the tide of anti-Asian hate that has been perpetuated, especially by the last administration in DC, who chose to blame the pandemic on Asian and Chinese people. So thank you so much for today's honor, and I look forward to working with all of you to advance economic and racial justice throughout our great city.
Thank you and congratulations, Kent. I, like you, have been born and raised here in the great city of Los Angeles. There's no doubt that you and the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance are bringing important changes to the worker and the workers' rights. Next, we have a special performance. The performer just blew us away with his rendition of the National Anthem, but I am proud to formally introduce singer-songwriter Justin Park. He's a Korean-American singer-songwriter from Los Angeles. He is the future of R&B. Please enjoy this live performance from Justin Park.
Oh, who told you boxing was easy? That he can do it too. Oh, he drives a Bentley Mercedes. Or did he lease that coupe? Cause guys don't need to lie. Don't need to waste your time and you ain't on his mind. Cause he's a selfish type and he just wanna side. So we can leave a mess, you don't need him in your life. Guess you gon' see what's next. How we gonna lie to you and say you're perfect? They were worth it, probably had it telling someone else she's perfect too. Tired of the fights that don't get you nowhere. Call you baby, show him shady too. How it feels like without you. Shady doesn't do thank yous. Shady doesn't like conversation. Shady misses baby, needs you boo. To know he's always gonna lie to you. Shady don't treat you way I do. It's in the way you.
What up, LA? My name is Justin Park. Y'all ready to turn up on this one? Okay. Treat you the same way that he did with some sharing your up with his friends like his promo. Making examples of how they felt, cause you did too. Tell cause he's not for you. Trips, but you stay tripping. I'm talking taking us to the needs patience. Hills when we need spacing. Say you're perfect. They were worth it. Now she's perfect too. Boo. Get you nowhere. Call you baby. Him shady too. How it feels like without you. Shady doesn't do thank yous. Shady doesn't like conversations. Mrs. Baby needs you to know he's always gonna lie to you. Shady don't treat you way I do. It's in the way you let him do it to you. You don't always have to let him do it to you.
Thank you so much, Justin. You know, this just goes to show that, you know, Asians are making their way into all different types of avenues of our culture, whether it's food, whether it's music, and that was just another perfect example. Justin, thank you so much for joining us. What an amazing performance. What a beautiful voice you have. That was absolutely incredible. And now it's my privilege to introduce our next Rise honoree for her work in the nonprofit sector, Michelle Sugihara. Michelle Sugihara is the Executive Director of the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment, the pioneering nonprofit professional organization that is creating systemic change in Hollywood from the writer's room to the boardroom to the living room. She is a fourth-generation Japanese American who was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. A prolific public speaker, Sugihara speaks across the country on Asian representation in media and other topics. And before she shares with us her remarks, here's a video we wanted to share with you on AAPI representation in Hollywood.
Michelle, I'm so honored to present you with the 2022 Rise Award for your work in the nonprofit sector. Now, I hear that Michelle has been so busy being a voice about the issue of representation in our community that she's actually lost it. So we're actually going to be joined today by Ryan Moore, who's going to be speaking on her behalf.
Hello, thank you so much to the City of Los Angeles, Council members John Lee and Nithya Raman, and Commissioner Dora Kwok for this incredible honor. My name is Ryan Moore, tuning in from Los Angeles' Koreatown, and I work with Michelle Sugihara, who has unfortunately lost her voice. We work at CAPE, the premier nonprofit organization creating opportunities and driving change for Asian and Pacific Islanders' success in Hollywood. We work to shift culture through storytelling to create a better world. For over 30 years, we have fought for API representation in film and television because what we watch on our screens should reflect the world in which we live and project a better one. Alumni from our fellowships have worked on over 100 shows across every major broadcast and premium cable channel and streamer, including Grey's Anatomy, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, Good Trouble, Fresh Off the Boat, Never Have I Ever, Shadow and Bone, Three Body Problem, and many more. The video, which hopefully we'll be dropping a link to below because I know some people weren't able to see it, is from our I Am campaign from a few years ago. And you can watch that and all of the videos on CAPE's YouTube page. CAPE advances representation for Asians and Pacific Islanders in Hollywood through three main verticals: nurturing and engaging creative talent and executive leadership, providing cultural script consulting and talent referrals, and championing projects for critical box office and streaming success. And through these efforts, CAPE is transforming representation from the writer's room to the boardroom and to your living room. And you can follow us at CAPE USA on Instagram and Twitter, or you can visit our website at capeusa.org. Thank you again.
Congratulations, and thank you again to Michelle, Ryan, and CAPE for all your amazing work that the organization is doing on behalf of the AAPI community. Next, we have Congresswoman Michelle Parks Steele, who will give us a congratulatory remark.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Michelle Steele. I first want to thank Los Angeles City Councilman John Lee for inviting me to this wonderful event. I am so honored to join you today to kick off Asian American Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. As an immigrant and one of the first Korean American women elected to Congress, I know how important it is to support our AAPI community. English is my third language, and I am serving in the United States Congress. I am living my American dream. The first time I looked up at the US Capitol after being sworn in, I had tears in my eyes. As we kick off this special month, I want to extend my support to all of you and thank you for the great job you are doing to fight for and lift up our AAPI community. I know it is not always easy. Just recently, I was mocked for my accent. I've dealt with racist attacks my whole life, but it won't stop me from proudly sharing my voice. As an American who loves this country, I take the rise in hate crime and racist language very seriously. Unfortunately, and as you know, these are not new issues. As your representative in Congress, I have a platform and proudly sharing my voice to make clear that hate has no home in this country. I am grateful for your support and for all of you. I'm grateful for your continued strength. I am proud to serve alongside other trailblazing members of our community in Congress. I want your kids and grandkids to have this same opportunity, and I want to see our next generation achieve even more. I wish you a wonderful celebration today and look forward to seeing you in person soon. From Washington, D.C., Michelle Steele.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Michelle Parks Steele. Thank you for not only representing the Korean American community, but the Asian American community up in Washington, D.C. The next award today is dedicated to a small business in my district located in Granada Hills. I am proud to present the 2022 Rise Award for Business to Korean American business owner Jimmy Lee. Mr. Lee runs and operates House Roots Coffee. They started their business as a pop-up store in 2013 and built their relationship with the community by giving back to the community. Then they started their own store in Granada Hills in 2016. Congratulations, Jimmy.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank everyone who put this event on. I want to thank you for inviting us and giving us this award. It's truly an honor to be here. I want to thank our very own Councilman John Lee for your continued support. We feel and appreciate all that you do for small businesses and in the San Fernando Valley. And, you know, we really love the Valley and we're proud to call it home. My pastor always told me that if the grass looks greener on the other side, start watering your own grass. And we did just that. House Roots was started by 6 Valley kids that wanted to start a community-focused, cause-driven coffee shop without compromise on quality. And we were able to give to and partner with local organizations that fight domestic violence and help victims of set abuse and others that help youth homelessness. And we also partner with Express Eden, an organization in Mozambique, Africa, to help build widows' homes and orphanages and help kids get the education they need to get off the streets. And, you know, everything we do is for the communities that we love. And as a Korean native, it's important for me to give back to the community that shaped my identity as a Korean American. And it's, you know, our operation has always been a team effort, from our baristas to our general manager, our chef, artists, and designers that partner with us. And of course, our amazing community that has rallied behind our little neighborhood shop in Granada Hills. And so, yeah, we thank you again for recognizing what we're doing here. And we're excited for the years to come and the many lives we're able to impact. Thank you.
Thank you again, Jimmy, for your commitment to community service. Last but certainly not least, I would like to introduce our honoree in the entertainment field, actor and director, Mr. Justin Chon. Justin was born in Garden Grove, raised in Irvine, and has a career that has encompassed characters that break the mold of who Asians are and who they can be. He directed, wrote, and acted in the film Gook, which tells the story of 2 Korean American brothers who run a shoe store and their friendship with an 11-year-old Black girl at the onset of the 1992 LA riots. Recently, he directed the Apple TV adaptation of the novel Pachinko to share AAPI experiences in this country. Please allow us to share with you his remarks on receiving this award and his thoughts on the AAPI community.
Hi, my name is Justin Chon, and I wanted to say a huge thank you for the Rise Award. Thank you also to LA City Councilmember John Lee, and congratulations to everybody for AAPI Heritage Month. The main reason I make films is to bring empathy and understanding towards our community, the Asian American Pacific Islander community. So I will continue to do that work and bring love and awareness to our community. Thank you so much again, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you to Justin Chon and to all the AAPI actors and directors for everything you are contributing to change the perception of AAPI communities and fight back against, you know, the stereotypes that we've been fighting all of our lives.
And thank you to everyone who's joined us today. I think it's safe to say that we are extremely honored to be able to share some of the work and accomplishments of a couple of our leaders in the AAPI community.
Absolutely. And with that, I believe today's ceremony's come to a close. Commissioner Kwok, thank you so much for joining us today and agreeing to be on here with us.
Thank you for having me here, Councilmember, and I can't wait to celebrate again next year.
And to all the participants, viewers, and supporters of all things AAPI, thank you again for spending your time with us today, and have a wonderful month.